to Sew with Monty. Today I'm taking the one-piece skirt pattern that we made originally and I'm going to show you another variation. This is a soft box pleated skirt. As you can see, the pleating is very soft and it adds a fabulous amount of fullness without adding bulk at the waist. So this skirt, when it's all finished, will be a complete circle. But it doesn't add a lot of bulk up here, and it also has some definition by creating these soft pleats in it. So let's go to the work table and I'll show you how to create this pattern. So the next part of making our box pleated skirt is we're going to take the front skirt. Now this is another case where you may not need to use back and front, because when you create this much fullness in the skirt, you don't need as much detail as scooping out the back waist and so forth and so on. So you might get away with just using the front panel if you have a front and back, or if it's still just one piece, just of course the one-piece skirt. All I've done right now is traced off my front skirt, and I'm just going to release it. And the way I trace it off is I tape it down, cut it out, and then just remove it. And that way I know it's an exact copy instead of trying to draw around it. Okay, so this is our front skirt, and right here is the center front. So I'm just going to mark center front here for now, because that's really important. This will end up being on a fold when we're all done. So I'll just put fold here so I know that it's one piece. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to fold it. Now I want to talk to you about pleating. A lot of people will try to mark where they want their pleat, trace off this much, hop the pattern over, trace off the next section, and so forth and so on. You can do that, but many times if you try to do that, you can get very lost and very confused. And I want to show you a simpler method of adding pleats. Now this will work with pretty much any method or any type of skirt you're using. You just have to get your little template together. And here's how we're going to do that. We're going to take this and we're going to fold it over to the real side seam. Now remember, we have seam allowance here. So let me mark it off so that we can see it. We want to fold it to the actual seam line, not the seam allowance. And I have a little jut out for my zipper. It's a little bit wider even still up at the waist. So I'm going to take the center front and I'm going to fold it to the seam line, making sure it's nice and even. And when I have that, I'm going to crease it all the way through the pattern. And then I'm going to take the crease and I'm going to take it over to the seam line and crease it again. Okay, so this is going to tell me where I want my pleats to be. So this line right here is going to be a pleat. Right in here. See? This will not be a pleat. We're going to skip this one, but this one's going to be a pleat. Okay? Now what happens here, this pleat is twice the size of this one. But remember, this is going to be on the fold, which means it's going to be the same size as this one once we release it and have the fold open. This is going to stay flat, and why I like this flat over here, it doesn't add bulk to the side hip. So I really don't want any pleating in here. What's nice about that is I could put a pocket, like a concealed pocket in here. I could put my zipper in here. So I could kind of use this as a utilitarian or functional area of my skirt. Plus the silhouette doesn't get wide on me. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this piece out. So let me get my scissors here and we're going to cut it out. Just this front, right on the fold line. Now if you need to draw the fold line in so you can see it, that's perfectly fine. This is such a clever way to add pleating. Now my pleats are A-shaped because I'm trying intentionally to add more fullness at the bottom. You may not want that. You may want them to be just rectangular where they're as full at the bottom as they are at the top. So you have to decide what kind of skirt you're working on and what kind of look you're going for. So once I have this piece, this is going to become my template. So I'm going to get this out of the way for the moment, and I'm going to cut 3 of these on the fold. So I'm going to bring my paper over here, and I'm going to fold it, and I'm going to tape it down, and I'm going to cut 3 of these out. So just tape it and cut it. If you try to draw around this, it's not going to be as accurate, but if you tape it, once you cut it out, it's going to release the tape, and it'll be just fine. So I just tape it down like this. and then I'm going to cut it out. Now one thing I'm going to add when I cut this out is I want a little bit of extra here so that I have something to hang on to when I'm taping my pleats back together, because I'm going to overlap it. So I'm going to give myself roughly a 1/2 inch here along this side, just so I have something to tape to. So I'm not taping butting up the edges. That's all I'm doing here, it's just adding, and it's okay if it's a little less there, that's quite all right. And then I'm going to enhance this line so I'll know where that is when I cut it out. So now I'm just going to cut around this piece, and this will become my template. There'll be 3 of these cut, 3 of these little pleat insets, and then we'll show you what to do. And see, I'm just cutting it out like this, and then I just release the tape where I have cut an extension, and the rest of it can be just left free. So all I'm going to do is just take this little section off. I'm just going to gently remove it, and this is going to be my pleat, my first pleat, and then I'm going to make 2 more of these. I'm going to cut 2 more of these, and then I'll show you what to do with them. So to review what we've done, this is the center front of our skirt, and this was the first pleat area right here. So I've cut the pleat off right on the pleat fold line, and then I've marked the next pleat area, which is over here on this fold. There's a fold right down through here, which will also become a pleat in a moment. And then I took the front and I folded my paper, and I made 3 copies of this front by laying this here, and I've added a 1/2 inch so that I can attach my papers back together. So it's a copy with a 1/2 inch extra there to attach it together. I unfolded this one, took 2 layers of paper, and made 2 additional copies. So I have pleat inset 1, 2, and 3. So I have 3 of these. The next part of this is we're going to put the skirt back together with our pleat insets. So this one is going to line up. This is why we have the extra tape, or the extra paper here, so we can tape it down. Let me get my tape. And we're going to tape this skirt pleat, this is the pleat fold line, to this right here. Now what would happen is, I'm going to tape it all the way. I'm not worried about things being a little uneven. We'll straighten those out after we get our pleats made. So we're going to tape it all down, and I like to tape the back side too while I'm at it, and be very generous with your tape so that you get nice, secure tape lines, and this pattern doesn't pop open when you start working with it. So tape is good, lots of tape. Now, this will be my first pleat. This will be its fold line right here, right on this little taped edge. That's another reason you want to put good tape on here so you can fold it right on the edge of your pattern. So this is my pleat fold, and it's going to fold over all the way over to here, just like this, okay? So that my pleat is exactly the same fullness as the top layer. So it goes this way, it goes back this way, and back that way. This is the top, and this is the actual pleat inset here. This is what makes the skirt so full. Now what I was talking about earlier, you don't necessarily have to make it this wide. You could make it smaller if you don't want it to be the clone of your top layer of your fabric. You could make this narrower here as well. So it just depends on what you want to do. But I've gone ahead and just used this as my template and made the whole thing. Had I wanted it narrower, I wouldn't have brought it all the way out to this edge. I would have started up here and decided how deep I wanted here, and then made marks so that I could make my template narrower. But in this case, we're going for everything. Now after I get this pleat set up, I want to look at my pattern, because my next pleat fold line is here. Now I can't tape it onto here, because if I do that, this pleat belongs to this fold line, and I'm going to steal from that if I tape it right here. This fold line right here has to have its own pleat inset. So I'm going to take pleat inset 2, and I'm going to put it right here. So these 2 pleats are going to fold toward each other and create the box pleating. So I'm going to just tape this down here like this. And see, this one will go over to here like that. And then when I tape this one down, the other side of this pleat, so actually this should say pleat 2 because this is the second pleat. I will tape it here, and it too will fold over to line up with this line right here. So this will be my fold 2 line, this will be my pleat fold, and this is my pleat fold. And I like to draw arrows on my pattern to tell me what direction the pleat is going. So see, I'm taking this pleat fold line over to this center line. This pleat fold line is going to also go to this center line so that they kiss. This gets taped down, and then we cut this one open and do the same thing. So let me quickly tape this one down and then I'll show you this last section. It's such a great idea to do these pleat insets instead of trying to make one big piece and then pleat it. You can get very overwhelmed and very confused quickly if you use that method. These insets are much simpler. Just decide where you want your pleats. I wanted one here and here. These two actually kiss. So this is pleat inset 1, inset 2, and then this is the pleat, third pleat, and we're going to open it up and put pleat inset 3 there. So let me get my scissors, walk away from them, and we're going to stick the third pleat inset into here. And it makes a beautiful skirt. So if you want a fabulous full skirt that's not just gathered at the waist, not just a big circle, it actually has some form, this is a beautiful method to do it in. So this will go right here. Pleat number 3 will line up with inset number 3, and we'll tape it down the same way, making sure that the line is right on top of our drawn line there. Remember, the overlap is just there to tape. That's all it is, just so you can tape it down. It serves no other purpose. And we would tape the back sides of all these pleats so that they don't fall apart. You want more tape on that. You don't want to leave big gaps like this. This is just for demonstration. Now this is the other side. This is the last part. There's no pleat under here. This is just where this is going to go to. So the inset will come over to this edge. And we're going to tape it down right on the line. And when we're all finished and we've got it taped very good on both sides, what we have is a beautiful skirt. And we're going to mark this one. This is pleat number 3, and it will go to here. So this is a pleat right here as well. So we have pleat 1, pleat 2, and pleat 3. Make sure that you make notches where your pleat starts and where it goes to. Only where it starts and where it ends. You don't want to pleat on the fold line in between. You'll get very confused and you might accidentally just fold it over halfway. So where the pleat begins, where the pleat ends. Begins, ends. Begins and ends. So these two, it looks confusing, but these two are making a 2 box pleats because they're going to go like such. Actually, I have another one here. Let me show you. I've already got it folded and everything so I can show you. There we go. It's like a cooking show. So this is, and this one's a little bit shorter. I decided after I made it that I want to make it shorter. So this is center front right here. See, this is center front. This is pleat 1, this is pleat 2, and this is pleat 3. And this would be on the fold. And what happens when this is on the fold, this pleat becomes exactly like this one. So I have one center here, and then I'll have one on each side. So I've got 3 box pleats, and then my hips have no pleating on them to keep them nice and sleek. So when I open this up, see, I have pleat 1, pleat 2, pleat 3. And I would cut this on the fold of my fabric, and that's it. That's your pleated skirt.